right, and welcome to Taking Flight with me. My name is Mike Rocket Blackstone. Today, I've been asked to take a look at that 777 from United that took off in December of 2022 and experienced a significant altitude loss shortly after takeoff, around 2,200 feet. It made a rapid descent to within 775 feet of the water in a 777-200, from what I understand, and in heavy rain. So I wanted to break this down for you. I don't want to make a joke of this because it's not funny at all. And I'm not here to poke fingers at anybody either. I just want to try to find a way to maybe shed some light on this as a 777 pilot myself and an airline pilot for more than 25 years. For a major airline, and also a small airplane pilot with a lot of flight time as well in fighter type aircraft. I kind of feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the situation, and I flew to Hawaii for exclusively for 5 years. I've been to Maui, and the weather there and the winds that are there are significant. And from what I understand, the weather that was present the day that 777 took off out of Maui was torrential, as described by one of the passengers. So I'm sure weather was a factor as well. But let's take a look at the report that we have here and just kind of get a flavor for what we're talking about. Here was from a few days ago, Channel 5 had a report on this. Let's watch it.
Alrighty, scary moments like this though for some passengers on a United flight out of Hawaii. Just moments after takeoff, the plane took a steep nosedive, coming within 800 feet of the ocean's surface. This happened December 18th. Flight tracking data shows the Boeing 777 took off from Maui in a huge storm. You can see there, climbed at 2,200 feet, then descended at 8,600 feet per minute towards the water. A passenger told CNN it felt like a roller coaster and that people were screaming on board.
Oh my goodness.
The pilots recovered from the nosedive and then safely made the trip to San Francisco.
Wow.
United says a formal report was filed with the FAA. The pilots then received additional training. The whole incident lasted around 45 seconds. By the way, the same day, not far away, a Hawaiian Airlines flight hit severe turbulence, injuring 25 people on board. This happened in December, like we were saying. It is just the latest in a list of close calls for the airline.
All right, so what they were saying is the aircraft plummeted about 1,425 feet. They're talking about 8,600 feet per minute rate of descent. Everybody likes to make it look worse than it is. Basically, the airplane took off at a normal climb rate of around 2,200 feet per minute, which is totally normal for a 777 at fairly heavy weights. And this airplane was taking off on a 7,000-foot runway. If you haven't been to Maui before, let me kind of show you the chart here for Maui. It's OGG airport diagram here. You can see the length of the runway is 69.98, right? So the 7,000-foot runway is pretty short for a 777. So from my experience in it, we almost always take off with flaps 15, but on a runway like this, I haven't flown the triple out of Maui. I would assume that at heavy weights, they may choose to take off with flaps 20 to give it more lift, to get off the ground sooner due to the short runway. And with the weather conditions the way they were, this airplane may have inadvertently flown into a thunderstorm off the end of the runway, right? So thunderstorms are dangerous, and even in big airplanes, there's never a good time to fly into a thunderstorm. Let's put it that way. And flying out of Maui, I've experienced some crazy winds there. This might be one of the windiest places on Earth. It is the kiteboarding capital of the world for good reason. There's very strong winds there. Almost all the time. I experienced my worst landing ever in Maui. So, very strong winds that pick up to 20, 30 knots and can suddenly die off. And that could result in a massive decrease in performance. And combine that with a thunderstorm, which they incidentally reported earlier that day that Hawaiian Airlines had experienced severe turbulence, and that's not to be taken lightly. People were injured, probably damaged the aircraft. So storms were strong that day, and it would not surprise me if this aircraft experienced a wind shear type event where suddenly you're going from a very nice strong headwind to a huge shift in wind to a huge decrease in speed, and combine that with the low altitude and the higher flap setting they were in the process of cleaning up and accelerating, trying to, and putting the flaps up. So with a huge decrease in speed, wind speed, which would result in a decrease in airspeed, and a flap movement, which could result in the aircraft becoming too slow for the flap setting that was selected, the airplane would fall out of the sky pretty quickly. So this looks like the possible situation that we're dealing with here. They were talking about the pilot's experience in the 25,000 hour combined range. That's significant flight time for sure. The airline industry is experiencing a massive amount of growth. So there are a lot of airplane transitions happening, people switching planes, new hires, not to say that this was a new pilot in the cockpit, but these things are all contributing issues, factors that could result in aggravating a situation that's already complex enough. We're looking at the runway length, the wind, the possible crew inexperience there, which certainly could have been an issue. The time of day was midday, or I think right around 2 or 3 p.m., something like that. So the time of day did not contribute to this. I fly oftentimes on the backside of the clock, so being on the other side of the world and being fatigued, that is certainly a contributing factor on large aircraft operating long distances from their home base. This was not a situation for fatigue, in my opinion here. So this is kind of what we're dealing with. We could take a look at one more clip here from CNN. Let's see what they have to say.
Another alarming incident in U.S. aviation. A United 777 diving toward the ocean just after takeoff.
It certainly felt like a roller coaster.
Rod Williams was traveling home from vacation with his family.
It's one of those things where you start counting your blessings. You start, asking yourself, is this the last time you're going to see your family?
The flight takes off from Maui December 18th, climbs 2,200 feet, then suddenly plunges 1,400 feet toward the ocean, falling for 21 seconds, reaching just 775 feet above sea level before abruptly leveling out and rapidly ascending once again.
Right, so 775 feet above sea level is very low. The airplane is 209 feet long. We're talking 3.7 airplane lengths from the water. So yeah, this was really close to the water and very significant. Shortly thereafter, they said 7 minutes later, the airplane climbed to 33,000 feet. I'm sure wide open on the throttles, and this thing climbed at over 4,700 feet a minute, all the way up to 33,000 feet. I'm sure this really scared the flight crew a lot. So they don't take this lightly. I'm sure this was a terrifying experience for them. They said they pulled 2.7 Gs in the recovery, which is significant. It's not crazy amount of Gs. The airplane is rated apparently at 2.5 Gs, at most weights. So I wouldn't consider this a massive over G of the airplane. They didn't hurt the airplane, but the passengers felt something like a roller coaster. They said, I'm sure that the nose pushed over and it began to try to accelerate. So it wouldn't surprise me if the flaps were retracted at the same moment that a massive decrease in speed happened from the wind shift due to the weather. This looks like that could have happened, and the thing suddenly got too slow for the speed that it was flying, and at 2,200 feet, they needed to push the nose down in order to accelerate. So the throttles came wide open, and the nose came down dramatically to help it accelerate. It needed to do that, and they did a proper move to help the airplane accelerate, and unloading the airplane is the way you can help it accelerate much, much quicker. In fighter planes, we call that a bunt maneuver, where they unload the aircraft and to help it accelerate, to take the weight off of it and help it dive and accelerate to rapidly pick up energy and pick up speed again to get it back into the flying regime and into the envelope of the flaps. so so the airplane could begin to clean up and accelerate and climb again. So this was a serious situation, and hopefully I've shed some light on it with you as a Boeing 777 pilot. These are big airplanes. They're heavy, and it takes a long time for them to accelerate and to climb. From what I understand, the United aircraft uses the Pratt & Whitney engines, I believe, the 77,000 pound of thrust engines. They're the smaller engines that are fitted onto the Boeing 777. The ones that I fly have the 94,000 pound thrust engines per side. So having more power certainly helps. Not to say that it's not enough, but when you're close to the ground and you want to accelerate, it'd be nice to have the big engines. So let me back out of this. I'll show you the final article here from Simple Flying, Steep Dive, United Airlines, Boeing 777 descends to 775 feet above the Pacific Ocean. This was from a few days ago, and this is an interesting article that you might want to check out as additional information that you can see the time. 45 seconds is kind of they think a short time. It feels like a very long time to me. In 45 seconds, we can climb over 1,000 feet normally. That is a total normal climb. To come down from 2,200 feet down to 775 feet in 30 seconds is not that long, and I'm sure that the nose wasn't able to stay down for long before the recovery had to begin. So I'm imagining 10 seconds maybe of nose down, and the rest of it was in recovery mode, something like that. So yes, it was terrifying for everybody. Nobody got hurt, luckily, and I am reasonably sure that this was an isolated incident associated with the weather. So hopefully this has been interesting to you. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe, and thank you for watching the video. My name is Mike Blackstone, and you've been watching Taking Flight.